everyone. So welcome to the Queer Authors Roundtable. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Vivian Dunn. I'm the host, and I've got two wonderful guests here today. Finally, this show is actually happening. So Natalie Hopkins, she is the author of Tales of Two Squirrels. And then I also have Gideon E. Wood with the Stag's Blood Prince. It's the first in a trilogy. I believe the second is out already. Correct?
Second is out, third in June,
Awesome.
which is terrifying.
When was this published?
That was a little less than a year ago, February of last year.
See, I don't understand how people are so prolific.
You don't. No, it was a terrible mistake on my part. I set up a release schedule that is cruel to me, and I am going to meet it because I feel like that's what I promised my very tiny audience, but that's what I promised, but I will not be making that mistake again.
All right, so let's actually get into that conversation. So Natalie, I know you're working with a small publisher, right?
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, they're Olympia publishers. I'm not sure what size they are.
I have no idea either.
I think
well, it doesn't matter. You're working with a publisher.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some different experiences getting yourself published, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I like this because we each bring some different experiences to the table. So that's great.
Yeah, a little contrast, right?
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, Natalie, I wanted to start off with that. Usually I start off with the question, why did we choose to go the route of publishing that we did, which is normally self-publishing? Natalie, to start with you, how was your process? How did that go?
Working full-time at Citizens Advice and doing a lot of other stuff. And I'd looked into it, and as I basically said, I just felt too lazy to self-publish. I was being guided, and I was told that I was going to get a publisher. I began doing sort of spiritual stuff and going to meditation and circles to deal with my anxiety and my depression and my anger from everything. And then as I started going, I started getting messages and guided, and I'd never even thought, I'd thought of writing books, but didn't even think I was good enough or capable. And then I'd read that all these people were sending letters out to thousands and hundreds of publishers. And I went to a session somewhere, and someone told me 15. And they said to me, all you need to do is the minimum is 15 and you'll get response. And I sent out 15, and within 2 weeks I had 2 acceptances. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. So, I'd just been I thank the universe all the time for stuff.
Absolutely.
I ask for it, I stay positive, and it's just coming.
That's awesome. That's actually, I feel like a lot of people these days are living that way, and they're finding that it's actually making a difference, If you
told me that a couple of years ago, I'd have laughed. Really would have laughed.
Yeah.
And now it's like 95% of my life, and I'm nicer for it.
Yeah, it shows, that you're co-creating with the universe all the time. And
I get given the stories, they come to me, and suddenly the book's out or the dictaphone is out, and I'll write that up, and then I can build around it.
So dialing back a little bit, you had said that you'd seen some messages and stuff. What were you talking about exactly? Before you published, you were seeing messages, or?
Yeah, I was getting I daydream and suddenly start seeing little things and have little ideas come into my head.
You're following your intuition then?
Yeah. And I'd get little stories, and then I would pin them all together, and if it made me laugh when I was writing it, then I thought, okay, I'll use that.
That's a good marker, I guess. I mean, if we're not enjoying our own work while we're writing it, then who the
Yeah.
hell else is going to?
Yeah, exactly.
Fact.
And I like squirrels.
So you were following your intuition, and it was
Yeah.
telling you to try traditionally publishing. You did 15 queries and you got 2 acceptances.
Yeah.
Now, what was that like? What was the next step there?
Well, basically look at the paperwork that I got sent.
From both?
And then I got, when I was going to Circle, I had people coming through, like my dead gran, even my dad, who would never come through. And all I was getting told was, read those contracts thoroughly before you sign, just read and read. And the one contract had 4 pages and I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And the other one had 40 pages with everything laid out elaborate, and was in my country, was in London. And it just looked more professional, and it was, again, the intuition that I was drawn to that. So I agreed to that.
And you said your granddaddy came through in a circle?
My grandmother and my father.
Your grandmother and your father came
Yeah.
in a circle. So you do some sort of...
We do meditation, or someone will just go meditation and then suddenly someone will start giving off messages.
That is amazing. That's amazing, and I want to talk to you more about that a little later.
Okay.
So I just have so many questions. I saw that you were a healer and a therapist.
Yeah.
You have this book, that is very lighthearted, and I just wanted, well, we'll get into it later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We'll get into that later.
We've got time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you looked at the contracts, and you went with your gut on the one that was, it might have looked a little more complicated, but you were...
Yeah, I had someone go through the contracts with me. I'd gone through it. My auntie has dealt with all the legal contracts of our family businesses for years. So she went through it with a fine tooth comb before doing anything. And I signed it, submitted it, and then COVID hit. So it took a little bit longer to get out than I initially thought, but I'm really happy with the finished article.
So you accepted one publisher's offer. Then what happened after that?
Then it was all written out. So then it was making sure that everything was as I wanted it, and then sending it to them for their people to read through it to see if they were happy with it, and making sure that they didn't change. They didn't make any changes. They didn't. No changes. They were quite happy with it. The only thing they wanted to change was the synopsis on the back, because I'd written something, I wasn't happy with it, and I'm like, well, write something for me. So they wrote that on the back. But yeah, I think someone did try changing the spelling to Americanism, and I said, no, I'm British, I want it spelt the way I spell it.
Right. Yeah, good for you.
And my grammar and everything else. So it's well, no, my proofreader alters my grammar.
Sure.
She called me the queen of the comma. If I could, I'd just put a comma in. So she'd be giving me lessons as we've been going along. You don't put a comma in before because, and so I'm learning that.
Okay, so there was an editing process, and that's actually kind of rare that they didn't change some things.
No, they were quite happy with everything. Then there was a separate contract for the book cover.
Okay.
They said, right, is this the cover you want? And then they sent me something to sign for an agreement of that. And then I signed an agreement of, right, is everything to your satisfaction? Yeah, you sign a contract for that, so you can come back to them later and say, you've put this in the book and I didn't agree to it, I suppose.
Sure.
And then there's, I think, yeah, then there was the bit about the author. So it was broken down into about 4, 5 little things. And each one at each process, are you satisfied with that? Are you satisfied with that? The little one, and then once the whole book was done, right, are you satisfied with that? Because once you say yes, it's going into the print.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah.
how did they help with marketing and everything? How did that go?
I know that they've put it out on Twitter. They've put it out. It's like they've put it on Amazon for me. I think it's on Goodreads. They did put it into Waterstones, but what, you know, and I had copies that I took round to some of the local Waterstones. But I think Waterstones are only interested if you're a big celebrity a lot of the time with some of their books. But I took them round, especially local ones, because it's where it's written about the area. And I've just paid to do with some of the other little sites. I've been doing most of my a lot of my marketing. So like Circle of Books. I don't know if you've heard of them.
What's that now? What is that?
It's a website that you can go on to. So it puts a bit about you and a bit about your book. And it keeps, you know, they'll put tweets and Facebooks and Instagram bits out for you as well.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, they've been quite good, and they do a thing, you put it on Facebook, Twitter nearly every day. So,
what is it called again, if you don't mind?
Circle of Books.
Circle of Books.
And I think there's another one called All Authors that I entered a competition with them, but you can go on with them, and then every week they send me a new little design. So they've done a little bit of artwork with your book cover. So every week you've got a new one that you can download to put. So it's always continually changing.
So like a graphic?
Yeah. So they do stuff, and they do competitions where you can submit your book, and they'll say book of the month or cover of the month. I'm trying to see if I can find one on you.
Okay, and do you know offhand if you have to be traditionally published to?
No, you could be anyone. Is for see they I don't know if you can see it. They did that little.
Okay, with the person there,
yeah.
yeah. So, okay.
And then they did one where I've got 2 drinking mugs. So I put that onto one of the banners on my.
That's a good one to have. No squirrels though?
Yeah, they give me something every week just to put on there. So it's quite nice to publish. And then my brother now works for Adobe.
Perfect.
So he's given me lessons on this new site that they've got. And I've been going on and I'm making little animated things, which allows me to put it onto TikTok.
Yeah.
So they're only little small animation things, but I'm able to do that and try and sort of promote myself. And
yeah,
which
awesome.
I'm good. I can promote myself. I can't publish myself, but I can promote myself, and you know, I've got no trouble with that.
That's awesome, because earlier you had said that you were too lazy to self-publish.
I know,
but it's like
I'm too lazy to self-publish. But then once it's published, I can market myself.
But I mean, marketing is the hardest part of self-publishing.
Okay.
I think
when I submitted this, I was still working, and then I quit my job after 12 years because I decided that it just wasn't for me.
Sure.
You know, I had again intuition and messages saying you shouldn't be there. That's not for you. You shouldn't be stuck in there. You should be out doing stuff. So I did, but then COVID hit. So, and then that's why I'm now doing some other another job, but also doing some extra bits, learning to do script writing and screenwriting.
So with COVID, did that just slow the process down, or were there any other?
It slowed it right down because the publishers weren't working, the printers weren't working.
Did you have a tour lined up or anything, like a book tour?
I was told that I was going to go around doing book signing, but no one can go out and go into any of the shops or anything. So
Did they have you do anything virtual?
no.
Okay.
So when you came around and put your thing up, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it.
That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think it's
yeah.
absolutely
Thank you.
fabulous.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been so much fun and a lot of learning and meeting new people. It's been really awesome. So I'm so happy to have you guys here.
That's great.
Happy to be
So
here.
excellent. So that's quite a journey with the traditional publishing. That seems to be like, yeah, like the world, the universe just opened up for you. You know,
Yeah.
there was a space and you just fit right in, and that's very special.
I've been told how many books I'm going to write.
Awesome.
I've been told what genre they are and what, different, even the colors of the covers.
Do you think you can tell me a little bit about me?
I'm not that good.
Do you think they have some messages for me?
I can do stuff with runes. I can read people's runes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sometimes I can do cards, but apparently I get intuition, but I don't get messages. I don't speak to people.
Sure.
Where I have others. So everyone's got their own little gifts.
Absolutely.
Mine's gift of the gab, mine's teaching, another thing. But yes, sometimes I meet people and I know what they're going to do, or they're going to be friends and stuff like that. So
yeah. So you have very strong intuition. That's
apparently I've had it since I was little, but
yeah. I think that's hugely important for anyone to get in touch with, because if you're ever doing something and you constantly have the feeling it's not for you, maybe you should listen to that.
Definitely.
Even if it's scary, like listening to your intuition, even if it terrifies you, it ends up being something that you needed, like your soul needed.
You don't get what you want. No, you don't get what you want. You get what you need.
Sure.
That's why I keep getting told by friends. So.
Or sometimes what I've noticed is I get what I want, but it gets complicated. Like by the time I get it, I no longer want it.
Something else. Yeah.
Like I already moved on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that I get what I want was way different than what I was thinking, but yeah, the working with the intuition, I think that's super, super, that's why I self-published actually.
Yeah.
And now let's get into that conversation. I want to ask Gideon, what was your journey with self-publishing? When was that moment that you decided to self-publish? Because for me, it was a huge revelation.
So I guess I should separate the moment I decided to, sort of get serious about writing from that moment, because there was some distance kind of between those two decisions. But, so there's plenty to recommend against self-publishing, if we're being honest, and I'm going to be honest, right? Like,
please do.
I'm going to do my best.
Don't bullshit on my show.
No bullshit on Vivian's show. I really will do my level best. I guess the first kind of portion of that decision was like, I'm a person in addiction recovery, and I have been in recovery for about 10 years. So I was in my late 30s when I got sober.
Good for you, by the way. That is one of the hardest things.
It is good for me and anyone who has to interact with me. That much I will promise you.
And probably good for your wallet too, right?
And good for the wallet, yeah, for sure. I think, I just had a sense of, having wasted quite a lot of time in my life, and not being the most effective person that I could be. So, self-publishing, to me, it seemed like that was a little bit closer, a little bit, nearer to within my grasp. So that was the first part of the decision.
So did you not try to query at all? Did you not try?
I have not queried. No, not at all.
Wow, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, that might be something for the future, but I am not decided yet. My goals are writing goals. They're not sales goals. They're not marketing goals. They're none of that. And that is something that may and probably will come a bit later, because I do take it quite seriously. But for now, I'm just really trying to be a better writer, which brings us back to the things that recommend against self-publishing. I think that spirit is a little bit absent in a lot of the community, if I'm being totally honest. And, there is a stigma on indie publishing, and the stigma is kind of earned. There's a lot of garbage out there. So you know, that's fine because there's a lot of traditionally published garbage, right?
Oh, I was just gonna say that. There's garbage everywhere.
Garbage everywhere. As
But there are
far as
gems
the eye
everywhere
can
too.
see. Say again?
There are gems everywhere too.
Absolutely. And so it just made me, it's sort of hard to know if you're going to add to the garbage, and especially when you're just kind of starting out. So I guess I just had to ask myself, one question, which was, can I do this with the resources that I have without embarrassing myself too badly? And I had to think on that quite a long time. And I came to the conclusion, yeah, I could, without embarrassing myself too badly. And I think I've done that. But I have to ask that question to someone else, a person in my life who I think is really smart, who I know is well read, and who I know will tell me where the dog died. Do you think I can do this without embarrassing myself? And having gotten that yes, I decided that I could, take the writing and like share it with the world. So
You
yeah,
know, if I may interject real quick,
please.
I think that is one of the hugest lessons of self-publishing, is because you're putting it out yourself. Like, you are the only one behind your work. You're the one pushing it out to people, getting it out to readers, and you're the one standing behind it. So that is a good question to ask yourself, like, am I going to embarrass myself? And even if I don't think I'm going to embarrass myself, what if it happens anyway? What if I get embarrassed anyway? Am I prepared to deal with that? So, because you don't have the strength of a traditional publisher behind you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
And there have been so many times in my life where I thought I was not going to embarrass myself, and I did, in like whatever situation, So
amen.
yeah, so
Yes.
that's why you have to have that person or those people, which is also like very much a recovery idea. So it kind of like works for me. Like, very seldom do I make larger decisions in my life that I don't go, would you please look at this and just tell me if I'm an asshole right now? So you know same with writing. And like, I sort of like, I don't like the term self-published, and I don't like the term independently published, because self and independent that's both bullshit. Like, I have had so much help, you know what I mean, through people that I've met on Twitter, through people that I know in my personal life, who have looked at these damn things and told me how to make them better, who have given me a little bit of marketing advice, even though I am terrible at marketing and hate every bloody second of it. It is not my favorite investment of my time,
Yeah, it's a
at
huge
all. It's
time taker.
Yeah, it's hell on earth, and it just is. And I think that, again, that is, I see, you're on Twitter, Natalie's on Twitter, we know the writing community, but I just see so much just like constant like self-promotion. And there's nothing, my criticism of that does not come down to like, oh, don't be egotistical, don't try to sell your book. Like, of course, try to move books. But
That's some
I
people's
feel
goal.
like, when are we talking about writing in the writing community? Like, when are we doing that part.
Exactly why I wanted to do this, because I just
And exactly why I was happy to be here. Exactly.
yes, we just want to talk about books and themes and everything we love about writing, and because we've published, let's talk about that too. So
Right, exactly. So, I would, before we started recording, I shared a little bit. There are like at least 500,000 things I would do differently. You know what I mean? Between the writing decision and the self-publishing decision, and then between the self-publishing decision and today, there's just scads of things I
endless.
would do differently.
Endless.
Endless things. But that's all fine and well and good for next time.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing but a learning process. I
Mm.
would assume for both, for publishing traditionally, that's a different type of learning process. And Natalie, you're still marketing, so you're learning stuff there. And then the self-publishing, holy crap, like I said in another episode, I did not know I had the capacity for some of the emotions that came out of me because of this whole process. So it takes a lot of just guts, in my opinion, or stupidity, or a little bit of both.
Yeah, I like to for sure think there's a little overlap there between guts and stupidity.
There has to be.
Has to be.
You're ignorant going in. At least I was. And you like your book, your editor likes your book. Maybe the beta readers liked your book, but not everybody's going to like it, so you're going to have to everybody's going to have to deal with the shit at some point.
Absolutely.
So you started out going into self-publishing. You didn't even query. I queried 7 or 8 times. You didn't even query once.
No.
I mean, you saved yourself some time, in my opinion. That's time consuming too.
It sounds like I'm obviously by no means am I an expert on it, but that process from the outside and the little research that I've done sounds like ridiculous. And I was like, I don't want to be 93 by the time someone says yes.
Yeah, there's that too. I've met people this one girl I did last show, she queried over 300 times.
I know, and that's what scared me.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And but the fact that she kept doing it was just amazing to me. It's just the grit that she has, just as a person. But yeah, it's just, and then sometimes I'm in the mood to market, and I'm in the mood to write up things like queries, or if I'm job searching, writing up what are they called, cover letters, like sometimes I'm in the mood for that and it's not a big deal. But when I just came off of writing this huge novel that took me like 5 years, and I'm in this creative space still, like the last thing I wanted to do was these query letters. So it's just, I don't know, the whole thing is just a shot in the dark. It's just like guts and stupidity the whole way, in my opinion.
I love that. I probably should tattoo it on my chest.
Me too.
It's so true. And it's the same, querying to me, marketing feels the same way often, and maybe because I set myself like a tight release schedule for this first trilogy, but it's just like, if I have an ounce of creative gas in my fucking tank, like I need to burn that fuel on the writing. I don't need to burn the fuel on telling people why they need to read my book. I mean, it's all out there. And I know that people aren't going to magically discover it, but it's just like, maybe I can turn to that more comfortably in a way that feels less pressured for me, like when I have like a little bit of a catalog built. You know what I mean?
I was just going to suggest that, like, maybe when everything's out, you can come up with like a streamlined marketing plan, and maybe your head will be there more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes back to what we were talking about before. I don't remember if it was while we were recording or not, but we all have different goals. I think Gideon, you had brought it up. We all have different goals for why we're writing our books, you know, like you had said, some people are writing to sell. Some people want to sell books and make money. That's their goal. And then there are people like us. I'm literally writing because there was like a voice inside me that said, you need to write this, you know, and it wouldn't go away. So, you know, but would I like to have readership? Of course, you know, but yeah, you don't necessarily have to, if you're self-publishing and getting out so many books in such a short period of time, that's just what you need to do right now. You
Yeah.
know, there's no right or wrong way to do what we're doing.
And like, I'm not somebody that sits on my sales constantly. I'm not somebody, we've talked on Twitter. I don't sit on reviews. I don't give a damn.
I can't read them anymore.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
One
But
reason on my birthday in January, well, it was like last week or so. As soon as I said that, I was like, whoa, we're still in January. So anyway, it was my birthday, and this girl who had read and reviewed my novel, you know, she sent me a message saying she had done so, and I was like, thank you very much. You know, I don't read them, but thank you for your time and everything. And then I noticed she had tweeted about it, tagged me, and she put it up on, I don't know, she put the review on the tagged tweet. So I saw it, you know, I like
couldn't miss it.
I couldn't miss it. Right. And it was a great review, and it was my fucking birthday. So I was like, all right, I'm going to retweet the hell out of this and say that this is a gift from the universe for today. It could have been a shit review, you know, like, holy shit. But it was a great review on my birthday. I'll take it. But yeah, other than that, I don't read reviews anymore. They take you up and down so much, it's not worth it. You totally get off your game.
Right.
At least I did.
Especially if you are one of those people that's going to be right on top of them. You know, it just, there's no way. It's just like a 50-50, like, am I going to have a good day, bad day? And it's like, I don't need to mess with that stuff. I'm already going to have a good day or a bad day. I don't need to worry about what, like, some person who I don't know who they are, you know what I mean?
Who are, yeah.
So, but same with sales, right? Like, I don't want to sit on that. And like, I may have goals, 5-year, 10-year goals, for this to be a bigger part of my income stream, maybe even to be the main source of my income. But the point is that, you know, in December of 2019, I decided I was going to take writing more seriously and like devote a serious chunk of my day to it every single day. And, you know, people read my books every day. I just like could jump out the window with excitement to know that. And, you know, I don't need to sell 100 books a day, but people are putting my stupid book in their eyeballs every single day.
Yeah, even having, you know, one reader a month is some kind of miracle, in my opinion. Like,
that's ridiculous.
That somebody would take the time to actually stay with me and through this journey. And it's crazy. It's really a magical thing being an author.
I agree.
So yeah, I wonder if I have any other questions about the self-publishing.
Fabulous to see your name on a cover. I think is absolutely amazing just to see my name on a cover. Because
it's not my name though. It's a pen name, but no, it's even more thrilling, I think. Yeah, it's just
fantasy is my real name. When I've got other things that I'm doing in the pipeline, I really can't put my own name on it.
Yeah.
I was telling someone the other day, actually, that feeling, it's just like so mind melting to like I'll just be like boo 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 in my apartment, and like out of the corner of my eye I'll like see my novel, because I, you know, working on damn sequels and second and third books, and I'll just be like, oh, that is so weird.
Yeah.
That's a book I wrote. Like, it's just
It's
crazy.
surreal for sure.
I know my next book's going to be any good compared to this. Do you know what I mean? That's what I get. I've written them. I keep reading them, and I'm thinking, oh my god, yeah.
What, you're worried it's not going to be as good?
It's like when this got published, the publishing date when it went out, I was so excited for a few days, and then I went on a real downer with, oh my god, are people going to like it? Are they going to think it's like a load of crap? Are they going to? One person gave me a comment, said, oh, I loved it, but I found the squirrel language a bit difficult. And then I'm asking everyone, did you find it difficult to understand with that? You know, and it really, oh, shall I take it out of the next novels? It's one comment about it.
That's why I don't read them, because it
Yeah.
gets me away from myself. It gets me questioning myself.
I quite like doing it. It made me chuckle making up the words.
Right. Like, it's like what made me happy while I was writing it, and now this review has me questioning it. It's just not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah. You have one person that does it, and it can turn your whole writing around, and then you're just dating yourself.
Particularly from some rando, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
due respect, and not to sound elitist, but like, it's not a review in the New Yorker. Like,
Right.
you know, like, I don't know, you know, it's just a random person.
Yeah, I had one reviewer that was like quite cruel, and I think that was the one that I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm not reading them anymore. And I just kind of, I ended up paying somebody to do marketing for me from that point on, because I just couldn't even deal with any of it. So it's crazy how these people review, and they think, I don't know what they think. Like, what's the point of being so cruel? I don't understand it.
And it's the same with the good ones.
Yeah.
Like, I've like good reviews, because I have someone keep an eye on the reviews just in case there's something
Great,
bonkers, you know what I mean? That's like a big spoiler that whatever. Or if it's something that seems like intelligent, she'll put it in front of me and be like, oh, look, someone liked it. But like, in those, oh, look, someone liked it, I'm like reading this good review and I'm like, this is like hyperbole. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but it's not it's not this, it's not what you're saying. So like, good or bad, like inflating or deflating, I just think there's such a limit on the value that they bring. And I know that particularly in self-publishing, we kind of like trade in reviews and live and die by reviews, but it's just not a game I can play.
Well, what sucks is we need reviews for the algorithm. We need reviews. So, but like, yeah, I came across a tweet somebody sent today where they said, I'm no longer going to be putting a star rating for any of my reviews, like, where possible, you know. I'm just going to write the words and that's it. And I thought that was brilliant, because a 3-star review for somebody might be a shit review, but then for another person, their 3 stars might be, this book was amazing, but maybe it didn't quite meet, you know, their, you know, standard for 4 or 5 stars. So it's like, it's so subjective.
So yeah, the star thing is really weird, isn't it? Because it's like, I see a 5-star review for my book and I'm like, no, it isn't. Like, I love my book, you know what I mean? Like, it's genre fiction. Like,
Yeah, but
settle down.
somebody's opinion was that it was a 5-star book.
I mean, I guess I'll allow it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so with you on the subjectivity of it. Like, exactly. Like, you know, if I give someone a 4-star review, I really liked your book. You know, I like really liked it. And there are people, I see them on Twitter all the time, writers who, you know, complaining about a 4-star review, a 3-star review. I just don't, you know.
It's all very subjective. Unfortunately, we have to have it for the freaking algorithm. You know, Amazon wants to promote a book that's been reviewed more, you know, the more the better. yeah, a lot of people, they look at reviews. Like I look when I'm buying, something stupid for my kitchen, I'm looking at reviews for it. I'm not necessarily believing all of them. And some of them I think are harsh,
Sure.
like they gave the product, 1 star because the packaging was too tight or something, like it could be totally unrelated to the actual product. And we actually have a question. I see many readers explain what their star rating means. Subjective. Yeah, Ashley's saying on Goodreads, she sees many readers explain what their star rating means subjectively. And it's just, to me, it's just like a little, I don't know, I could do without the stars. Like just say what you want to say about the book and have that review count. And that's that.
I'm with you. Let's do it. Let's change the world.
Let's just change everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm quite happy to get a nice comment.
What was that?
I'm quite happy to get a nice comment.
Right. Amazon's algorithm wants to sell books. Ashley says, how will the algorithms work without the numbers though? LOL. It sucks because it won't. The algorithm wants to sell. Amazon wants to make a profit as a company. So the algorithm is, oh, the more people that give this 5 stars, it must be a good product. Let's push this more. So it'll recommend it more, So unfortunately, reviews and stars is something that we have to get used to and deal with, find a way to deal with it on our own,
It's exhausting.
It is very exhausting. It's been an exhausting year for sure. It's like, damn, I wish I fucking did this when I was in my young 20s, like,
Same.
But no, I had to be out partying, drinking, and having a great time. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired.
It's taken those years to get the experience to put in the books.
Very true. Very true.
So my misspent youth is going into some of the books.
Oh, mine is, yes.
Yeah, so.
And that we're going to get into as well. So, all right, we're gonna do Natalie's novel here, Tales of Two Squirrels, and this is part of a trilogy, you said?
Yeah. Well, it might be more than a trilogy. I've got a trilogy planned, but then I want it to go off into different stories, so it might expand on that.
It's just a whole new world that you've created, and
yeah, I've used bits. It as you see, there's I'm not sure if the Tree of Life is in this one. It's more into the next book, but as I was going along, different things would come up and it would make me giggle, so I'd start adding it. There's bits from my life in it. There will be more of my life in the prequel, which will give you a bit of understanding. So I'm not the white one, but I am a bit, if you know what I mean. There's bits of me in there.
Yeah.
Bits of friends, as we all do, we choose people, we choose friends, and then we just use a bit of warped sense of humor. Yeah,
and we're, I always say I'm a little bit of all the characters, it's just different experiences of mine that I chose to have them have in their life, for whatever purpose. So, well, that's excellent. So there's going to be a prequel and 2 more after this.
Yeah, there might even be more. So I'm looking the Tree of Life. When you go off the Tree of Life, there's at least 6 worlds. And what I was looking at doing was after the sequel, something happens which makes them go off into the Tree of Life, and then they got all the different worlds that they can go into. So you've got if you see with Thor, they've got the ice giants and the dwarves and different lands. So I was looking at them going off into different stories, but I can't tell you the reason why, because that would sort of ruin the sequel.
Right, yeah, don't tell us what you don't give away whatever.
But that's what my plans are. I've dictated my plans to myself
Excellent.
as I'm telling friends, because I'll come out with stuff. As you see, I use my hands a lot, but I come out with things and they're like, that's a great idea. And then I'd go home and totally forget what I was talking about.
Sure.
So I had someone say, Spirit just said you go buy yourself a little dictaphone. So I've now got a little tiny dictaphone I take everywhere with me.
Yeah, I actually do that in my phone sometimes, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I can do it on my phone. So
yeah.
I write my books, all my books are on my phone.
Do
All
you
my books,
really? You're one of those authors too?
all my books are on Google Drive. Everything is on Google Drive, so I can do it on my phone, on my iPad, or wherever I go to sit down at a computer desk, I can access.
Where do you do it the most on your phone?
On my phone and my tablet, yeah.
Wow, God
Fascinating.
bless you.
Yeah. I have to have this whole setup, you know. I need the tea, I need the water, I need the lifesavers, I need the caffeine, I need the red pen, I need the green pen, you know. I need all this shit.
Oh God, no, I don't do that. I used to write it out. I write some of it out and then I'll type it up and then I'll be reading through, and as I'm reading through, oh yeah, do we do that? And then I'll just start typing. So the second book I had, the sequel I've had sort of plotted, but I didn't plot this book. I didn't plot the first book. I don't plot them. I write as I go along, and what comes into my head, and then I'll merge them. So I write the main storyline, and I'll think, right, these little episodes off, and then I can slot them in.
That's
I know
amazing to me.
my mind works. I don't know. It's just how my mind works.
Yeah,
So,
we're all different. I'm doing. Go ahead.
Oh, mine was the main story of them falling in love, but then they go off to have a date, or they go to London, or they go to Cardiff Pride, and they go off doing other little things, and then I slot them into the main story as it's going along, and then I get Claire to read it to make sure that it makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I could be looking at it and it would make sense to me, and then, you know, you write your own stuff and then you're reading it and it could be totally out of sync, but because you've written it, it makes sense to you.
Right.
And you need somebody else to look at it. My wife won't look at it until didn't look at anything until I gave her copy of her book to read.
Nice.
She didn't want to know any of the story. She doesn't want to know about anything until she has the book in her hand to read.
Yeah. I mean,
so
that makes sense.
I use other people. My family don't want to know until they get the book.
Yeah.
So I just use a few select people, brainstorm.
Well, that's amazing. And I do have questions for you more about your process, but I would love for you to read your passage and set us up a little bit, just so the listeners can know like where we're at and what's going on.
Okay, so the two female squirrels one fell out of the sky and landed on the other's tree. They've been having dreams of each other. The white one, there is actually a squirrel called a cosmic white. Okay, they're not albinos, but they are a breed of white, and they're quite rare. So what I've done in this, I've used a little bit of my other training, and used her as someone that is a bit downtrodden. So if she gets picked on in school, her parents don't like her, her mother can't stand her being around because she's one of those. So she's, you know, I didn't ask to be born like this. So that can be related in lots of different ways. And that will be covered more in the prequel book. But anyway, she falls for this squirrel. So there's Squirny and Squirina. And what they've done is Squirny is taking them to Cardiff to attend the first Squirrels Cardiff Pride. So it's called Cardiff Squide for them, and it runs alongside and parallel the Humans Cardiff Pride, which is in by the castle in Cardiff. Well, people who are gay and people who are not gay go there, and there's a lot of stalls around. But in Cardiff, we had a massive stage where we had drag queens on all day, but we had quite a few big pop bands come all day as well, television presenters, but then there's some educational stalls and celebration of gayness. Sometimes there's little competitions in other places, but what I've done is I've created a squirrels one. She is going to show off unintentionally or intentionally to her girlfriend because she's entering the Iron Squirrel competition. So the Iron Squirrel competition is, I don't know if you've seen them on YouTube, people design assault courses for squirrels. If you want to get the nuts in my garden, you've got to go through all these little, and there's loads of them on YouTube. One guy designs millions of them, and squirrels learn really quickly. So they go through, they get stopped and they fall off, but the next time they come back, they know how to get through that course. I called it the Iron Squirrel competition.
Perfect.
So I start off where they've turned up and they've gone into the gates and they're walking down. So Cardiff Squide was most definitely not the total bummer that Squirny had thought it was going to be. This was because anywhere that she was spending personal alone time with Squirina would be absolutely squirfect to the cosmic white squirrel. There was just one more final thing Squirny had to do before they could totally relax together on the grass with a well-earned bottle of Squiraz. That's the squirrel's version of Shiraz, if you didn't guess that. Squirny, who had now built herself up to be so excited, suddenly grabbed Squirina's paw quite tightly and enthusiastically pulled her towards the crowds that were now beginning to accumulate along the edge of the riverbank. Come on, hurry up, I need to show you something. They quite easily managed to make their way through the throng that was filling up the banks near the water's edge, mostly thanks to Squirny's ability to squin over her shoulders through any tiny gap and then insinuate her entire body into that space. As the cosmic white commander finally broke through to the front of the crowd, dragging the confused red squirrel in her wake, they saw the most astonishing assault course set out before them, and suddenly she had some idea of Squirny's excitement. Squirina shuddered all over with complete excitement, mostly because they were snuggled together on a blanket, and also because they had watched some quite extraordinary physical specimens fail this magnificent assault course quite miserably. Then they heard an announcement being made over the tannoy that the next competitor was being asked to make their way forward to get ready to compete. Will the next contestant, a Commander Squirny White, please make their way over to the competitor's tent? The cosmic white suddenly turned her face towards an astonished partner, and with a massive acorn-eating grin on her cheeky face, she shyly announced to her squirrel friend, "Squirprize!" The trip to Cardiff Squide, being their very first outing together, had been a resounding success so far. Now let's find out whether Commander Squirny White herself was also going to be a success too. Squirny very confidently strutted forward from out of the crowd to massive applause from the ardent Iron Squirrel fan base. Yes, she strutted. She wasn't so much cocksure as she was so very damn confident in her own assault course abilities. With her head held high, those powerful shoulders pulled right back, and strutting her stuff, she walked directly onto the podium out front, ready to just get on with it. Squirny had been training hard on a daily basis and in earnest on all of the military's latest Squirmy assault courses, just for her to be completely fit for this specific event. She was definitely going all out to impress her squirrel friend. her new love, her Squirina. There were numerous gasps of astonishment reverberating throughout the rapidly quietening crowd. Due to the species' rarity, some of the audience had never seen a cosmic white squirrel in their lives before. Some had actually seen Squirny completing assorted competitions on Newsgroup and were absolutely astonished to see her live or in the fur, so to speak. Some had also seen her perform before around various countryside events, but no one had ever thought they'd get to actually see her competing live and at a Squide event of all places. Young Squesbians everywhere along the riverbank were actually drooling over the cosmic white's stunning looks and magnificent physique. Many had their squammers on their phones out and were videoing or taking quick scrap shots of her to show to their friends and family. The mutterings of appreciation and total adoration that rolled throughout the entire crowd made Squirina feel so very proud of her Squirny. Yes, she thought to herself, all of you can just squad off because that cosmic white squirrel, yes, that absolutely beautiful squirrel stood over there. Well, she's mine. Oh yes, all mine. She'd never been more proud of anything or anyone in her entire life. So she just stood there with a massive smirk plastered all over her petite little mouth, and with a twinkle gleaming in her black eyes, her ear tufts and fluffy tail would twitch into the high heavens. She was so stimulated and excited, she couldn't wait to watch her Squirny's performance. If it was anything like the exhibitions she'd seen on Newsgroup, then they were in for one heck of a show. Squirny had never seen her friend look so happy and in love. As she and her mate, she hadn't even bothered to remember the name or even introduce her to all the others properly. Well, what's the point? She'd soon be discarded her. Sidling up to her, but her primary focus remained completely fixated on those rippling white muscles across the water. She half-heartedly joined in the conversation going on around her. But her dark eyes, well, they never once left that goddamn beautiful cosmic white commander. She knew that Squirny had been watching the other competitors with that laser beam wrapped as attention for detail she was so very well known for. She had memorized every tiny nuance of this assault course, every dip, turn, and treacherous portion. Squirina could see the internal calculations going on behind those golden orbs of hers. Her beautiful body was coiled like a tightly wound spring ready to pounce. However, as soon as the judges asked her if she was ready to begin, she produced from out of nowhere, God knows where, because she had nowhere to hide it, but she produced it anyway, a colourful silk scarf. Actually, Squirina thought, that's one of my bloody silk scarves. That one thought made her grin spread even broader. Anyway, I deviate. She produced the exquisite silk scarf, and just like John Scrambo in Scrambo's First Blood, she smoothed it out and slowly tied it around her forehead. She looked just like one of those squites of old who wore their damsels' favours on their lances to show everyone whose honour they were jousting for. Turning to look at the judges once she was ready, she nodded her assent and inhaled deeply. The whistle blew for her to commence, and immediately she was off, leaping forward off her powerful back feet, shimmying swiftly up the pole, and like a perfect tightrope walker, she was running across the thin rope that was stretched taut between two branches. Launching herself onto the cargo net and scrambling across it as if it was nothing but an inconsequential interference in her path. She then slipped away easily through the 10 sticks that looked like a dog assault course, jumped across the unstable platforms that were swaying and spinning with absolutely no problem for her athletic skills. Then after all of that was achieved, and once she'd reached the far side of the river, she had to dive into the swiftly flowing river squash and swim herself smoothly back across. She made that river swim seem just like an outing to Squarry Island. She swam fast and strong, her body totally sleek and undulating just like an otter, also using her tail as a rudder. Then upon reaching the other side, she launched herself from the water just like a cruise missile and ran the remaining stretch in record time, reaching out and ringing the bell at the finish line to stop the countdown. There was complete and utter silence as the time was immediately displayed on the board, and loud gasps of sheer amazement ran through the crowd. Not only had she trounced everyone else in the competition, but she had broken the Welsh, British, European and world records all in one attempt. As this announcement was being made, the crowd erupted with cheers and roars of approval. But Squirny couldn't hear a thing. She found that she only had eyes for one thing. She scanned through the massed crowd until her eyes alighted on the vision that was Squirina, and her face lit up as she jumped in leaps and bounds from the main stage, ran across the rope bridge to the opposite side of the riverbank until she was able to grab her girlfriend in her powerful arms, swung her around in sheer excitement, kissing her face all over with such love and attention. Then as she put her feet back down on the ground, she undid the silk scarf from around her forehead, grabbed her darling's paw and returned the token of scrub to its owner. She tied it securely before they began to walk hurriedly back over to the stage where the presentation was to be made, with the fabulous Red stumbling along in her wake. Squirina was stunned, shocked and embarrassed. Squirny was actually making her the focus of attention when all the worshipping eyes should truthfully be focused solely on the magnificent cosmic white squirrel alone. However, more shock was soon to come for her as Squirina stood unobtrusively by the side of the stage as the presentation was taking place. The crowd continued to call out Commander Squirny's name. She tentatively walked forward, those exquisite shoulders hunched forward, attempting to make herself seem smaller and make herself less the focus of everyone's attention. Squirina decided she had to put an immediate stop to this selfie-facing attitude of the commanders, and in a most authoritative voice shouted to Squirny, "Get those shoulders back, soldier, and straighten up now." Squirny did just that, but not before she also turned to her girlfriend, smirking, and added, "I'll straighten up when you finally do, sweetie." Then she strutted off up the steps to receive her award with the biggest acorn-eating grin anyone had ever seen on her fluffy white face. Yes, today's squide's been a very, very good day indeed.
You know what? You read
Yeah.
perfectly. Like,
Yeah.
your pacing and everything was spot on. So,
Oh,
Well done.
yes, well done.
thank you.
So, I think inquiring minds want to know,
Inquiring minds.
why squirrels?
When I was a very good friend of mine who died last year, I worked with her for 12 years in citizens advice and we became really close friends. And to cope with my stress with the work is very stressful. And I would sometimes then say to people, if I put my headphones in, I want you all to leave me alone because I put a little meditation on to try and calm down. So I've been looking at, do you know AO3? It's a writing platform that people do for fan fiction and stuff. Andrea, because I used to just make up little stories for her. So she said, what you should do is write it down. And I'm, okay, what do you want me to write about? So she gave me a little topic. And then I said, what shall I write about? And sometimes at lunch we'd go outside and there would be loads of squirrels running around. And I really like squirrels. I have them in my back garden. My mother has them there. And I just thought, that's it. I could write about squirrels. And then I looked in the spiritual meaning of squirrels. they're very intelligent, they're very cheeky, but it was also to do with, it sort of related to me as well with my sort of spirit of, they're mischievous, they're a bit cheeky,
Yeah.
but they plan and they do things methodically and stuff. And it was like, oh God, she said, that's ever so a bit like you. So for what I did then, that I wrote for her, I think it was a part of the very first chapter. Where it was, she was a stunningly beautiful, gorgeous, fluffy red squirrel. And I just wrote, I wrote a small bit for her and sent it to her. And she was like, do you know what, that's absolutely brilliant. Write some more. And it was just her that got me writing little things for her to cheer her up during our work process. And then we started doing all this positivity and saying good morning in the morning, good morning, rather than, oh, you know, oh God, another day in hell. We started saying, oh, right, another day in paradise. Let's see what today can do for us. And it changed our mindsets as well. So rather than going into work miserable and the day dragging on so long, we went in, we gave each other a hug, gave each other a kiss. Right, let's go have a fabulous day today. And it totally changed. Even our boss came out and was like, what is up with you two? And I put all little positivity things on the walls. And it was just then when I got bored or when I had time off, instead of doing something else or wasting my time, I'd sit there and just start adding to this and sit there giggling and
Excellent.
Just went from there really.
So the squirrels are like not only a fond memory, but you kind of vibrate with their energy. They're kind of like positive, upbeat, you know, mischievousness and.
I agree that squirrels are cute. I love them because they're adorable. I know some people think like, oh, these are rodents in my garden or whatever, but they're adorable and they're super industrious. Like squirrels are busy little buggers, and I think they're unbelievable. I could watch a squirrel all day.
Intelligent, so intelligent. Really are.
Yeah, I definitely watch squirrels outside my window.
Yeah, my mother has a load out her back and we'll sit in her bedroom just watching them up and down. She's got a feeder for the birds and then she's got a specific one for the squirrels.
Like you never know what they're going to do.
No.
Like, they're twitching all over the place and fascinating little creatures.
Yeah. So, and then because of that, it took me that they're out in the countryside where all the trees are, but then there's badgers there and there's all the other wildlife animals.
Sure.
I based it around where I grew up, where my granddad had a farm.
Okay.
So it's quite a well-known area in the UK where all the Roman, we have a Roman amphitheatre there, and there was a huge Roman fortress there. It was the Roman fortress of Isca. And people now are still finding, they're in their farms or their houses, they'll dig up stuff and they'll find a swimming pool or a mosaic in their garden, and it's still, goodness. Even now they're still finding stuff around there. So I think it's lovely.
Like I learned magical area.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So I thought I'd use it.
Did you have to research a lot about squirrels?
I did do some research, especially when I was looking and I wanted to see if there was a white one. And I found it on a site in America. There's I'm not sure the state that they're in, but there is a place that they've almost got like a little refuge or something for, and that's where I got the cosmic white.
So the cosmic white squirrel does exist.
It does exist, and it's in America.
That kind of goes into the next question. You made up this whole like squirrel language, which I thought it was super clever and very cute. And then I was thinking like, oh my God, did she have to like keep a list of which words she changed or?
So wouldn't you? You'd have thought that I did.
But you didn't, I bet.
No. And I had to go through the book later to write down which ones I did. Okay. all the squirrels, their names begin with an SQU.
Yeah.
All of, and I'll think, oh yeah, the SQU will fit nicely on that. There's some words that it won't. And there's some words that when I'm saying it in my head, it just trips off the tongue.
Yeah.
So it's more how you're hearing them or how they feel in your mouth.
Yeah.
And less about like, it's because I a little bit I was like, okay, so are there like rules to which words other than the names are changed in that way?
How I was saying it to myself and then how it would trip off the tongue with it altered. So I knew that in any conversations with them, there were going to be some. I tried overthinking it. So I tried doing it. And then it was like, no, that just sounds really stupid. So then I would talk and think, that's the word. That's the one I need to change.
Could be a writer's slogan. I tried overthinking it.
Yeah, too much overthinking is too much, you know. I get accused of that a lot. Stop overthinking things. Just do it.
Well, that's cool how it came about, was very organic, but then to stay consistent, you went back and looked over it. So
yeah, because I was doing some words and I'm thinking, oh God, I've done it in there. Did I do it earlier?
Right.
So yeah, then there was a bit of that, especially towards the end. So I've got a little notebook down somewhere with some of the words and some of the places and the partners. You know, I made little index cards as they tell you when we're doing our degrees. You know, put things interlinking, and I still screw that up as well. So.
Well, the whole thing is just a giant learning process.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But I think that's best, that it happened naturally. And then, you know, as an author, you do realize you have to be consistent throughout your novel.
You know what some people are like, you know, when they read, I'm like it. If I find spelling mistakes, I'll start circling them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I did one book and on the first 2 pages, I must have found 15 errors and I couldn't read the rest of the book. So,
right. Yeah. It takes them out of the story. Right. That's why we have to be consistent, because once you bring somebody into your world, the world better make sense.
And I'm a pedantic person and I don't want other people being pedantic to me.
Can't take your own medicine, huh?
Yeah.
This is something I think a lot about, and I'm thinking a lot, particularly working through this third book of mine. So in your book, you've got that playfulness with your language, right? Like the SQU thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's just some good humor, like in the passage that you read. And like, how do you kind of conceptualize like balancing, you know, humor with like plot and conflict? Because my stuff is like kind of like, at least this trilogy is kind of like on the darkish side, but I do think about like, I need comic relief here, but yours seems to be more sprinkled about. So like, how do you make those decisions about like, okay, here I'm going to be funny, here's a little.
I don't think I do that either. I write along. And it's a bit weird because I've never thought of, you know, first party, third party or whatever. And it's almost as if I'm writing it and narrating it at the same time. But I'm just using my own sense of humor. Do you mean that's me? I've had, when a friend read it, they said, if your name wasn't on it and I'd read the first couple of pages, I knew that you'd written this.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you find at all that you had to back out, you know, pull some of the humor out? Did you run into that at all?
I did pull some swear words out. I love Teddy Pratchett and Piers Anthony. So it's adult humor, but it's very tongue-in-cheek and very sarcastic and all. But then I also wanted to get a point across. So it was going towards young adults. So there were certain things I had to take out. As I say, when I'm not writing fantasy, I'm writing things that are a bit more erotic. Yeah. But I didn't want to be, even though young adults get venturing into stuff like that, I don't want to be putting that in books for them. Not that I'm a prude, I'm far from it. I wouldn't be true to myself if I hadn't written it as I was. So if someone that knows me picked up that book and was like, that's full of it, that's not you at all, I want someone to look at it and say, yeah, that's exactly you to a T. You know, I gave it to my mother to read, you know, up until last year. You know, she wouldn't even acknowledge that Sue and I were in a relationship for 25 years.
Wow.
You know, we got married on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And I threatened my mother, if you're not there, there will be consequences. I said, you ruined the engagement party by not turning up. So last year at Christmas dinner, both of us said to our mums, right, we're getting married, whether you like it or not. And so that gave them a while to let it sink in. And the rest, you know. Oh, my mother loved it. She was walking around like the Queen of Sheba. She, you know.
So this kind of goes into one of my questions, because you're saying like you wrote it very much in your voice. And while I was reading it, I noticed that the narrator is a definite character. Like the narrator stands out, talks to the reader.
Yeah.
Is that's just a natural way that you wrote?
Yeah. And I tried not doing it, and I tried doing it in different, and every time it just kept going back like that. So it was obviously meant to be.
Yeah.
But it's quite good because you know, there was a chunk that I took out of there because I was initially, when I did it, I was making my comments, but then I was also almost as if I was doing a journal for counselling and stuff. When I was, you know, if I'd had an issue, you write stuff and then you talk about why it affects you like that. And I almost tried doing that in there, and then I had to take that out because I'm like, no, this is meant to be fun. I'm not using this to offload my issues. I don't want to tell people the dark side of it. So I just had to take little bits of it out and rein it in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way the narrator speaks definitely works with this type of story, because it adds like almost a mythical aspect to it, you know, like you're all beside the fire, you know, chatting, and somebody's telling this epic story about these squirrel lovers and what they went through together. So I think it works. I think it totally works. And I also wanted to say that you kind of went into some stuff, I don't want to say darker stuff, but I guess more serious in the beginning, and not in this passage that you read, but in the beginning of the novel.
Yeah, there are some.
You touched on
I try and make things lighter around them because I don't want people to. It's a fantasy thing. Fantasy. If I'd written dark fantasy, I wouldn't have had two happy little squirrels doing that. I'd have had a much darker cover with things. But yeah, I wanted it to be light-hearted and fun.
And you said you're writing a prequel.
I am.
So does that mean you address some of it? Because I had some questions. Gideon both had some questions.
It's gonna she is a very, as you read in there, she's a very special squirrel, the white one, but she doesn't know why yet.
Okay.
So things in the first one, you'll find out about her upbringing, and what made her the way she is, and how she started doing the assault courses. Basically, she's on the tree of life. The tree of life takes her in when she runs away from home and looks after her. Now, if you actually look at the tree of life itself, in mythology, it's got a dragon at the bottom. It's got an eagle at the top with some stags and some ravens. And on the tree, there's a little baby squirrel that runs up and down, passing messages up and down to the dragon and the eagle, but always twists it with a little mischief. And this is actually called, it's a squirrel god, and it has a name. So what I've done is I've brought her in, as she's going to be the avatar of the squirrel god.
Perfect.
And she's doing tasks in order for her to gain the magic of the squirrel god.
Oh.
But there was one before, but through history, everyone has now ridiculed or ostracized the white squirrels.
Right.
So when she's born, her mother thinks, oh God, what have I got? And so she's not had a very good upbringing. She's had a really bad childhood. She's bullied on every single quarter. She's pushed out, she's beaten up. So she has to be a strong fighter. But when she gets into her career, so she's a strong fighter, but then on the other side, you see that sometimes she puts her head down and her shoulders down because she hasn't got that personal confidence. When she's doing her job that she's good at, she's got loads of confidence. But when it comes to herself and her personal life, she hasn't quite got that confidence.
So is the trilogy and the prequel kind of goes into that creation?
Well, the prequel does, yeah. I'm not sure whether I'm going to bring the other one in or just make it all about her. But I've written lots, yeah, I've plotted it all. But I'm not sure what to do, whether I bring the other one in as her childhood interspersed in with it so we can see how they both grow up. So you did ask the question about how did she have kits and she left them. In the first book, it'll show that there's an unwritten rule that every female squirrel has to have a kit to keep the breed of squirrels going.
Yeah.
All right. Now, she wants to join the army, but they won't have her in unless she's given birth to a kit to keep everything going. She doesn't want to, and she's somewhere training, and this one squirrel who's a cocky thing, he thinks he's it. He's very much based on my dad and my mum, but he keeps on and on and on. So she's like, yeah, we'll have them, but don't think that I'm going to stay and look after them. You know, if you want them, you all look after them. And he thinks that when she's given birth, she'll stay, but she doesn't, because she doesn't particularly want kids. She's not maternal. She doesn't want them, but she's doing what she has to do. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But hopefully I'll cover then that, you know, because it's one of those ones where people think that because you're female, oh, haven't you got any kids? No. Oh, I love you. Yeah. I didn't want any, you know, again, I can base that on myself.
Yeah, same.
You know, I never wanted any. I can just about look after myself. Seriously.
I can barely keep my life together, like, let alone another one.
If I didn't have to, I'd be living in a cardboard box, probably. I never wanted any. Quite happy with cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Can just about look after myself. So yeah, I find it weird. You know, I feel sorry for my mum. I'm sure my mother would have loved grandchildren. But I said, well, you know, there's my brother there, but he's not interested in settling down and having kids either. So, you know, God, this is like a blooming counselling session as well, isn't it?
Well, it might get worse, just so you know. I was going to say, because the way that you breezed over it in this, it's such a heavy topic, you know, and the way that you breezed over it in this first couple of chapters. I was like, well, wait, like what's going on with that? You know, what?
I had planned to write it. I'd already planned to put that into the other one. So it was, you know, it's just. So
that doesn't come back in this one?
No.
Okay.
But it will be in the next one.
Okay.
It's in the prequel and the sequel, but not in.
Because that's not the focus, which I understand.
Yeah, the focus of this one is them getting together and falling in love.
Right.
The focus of the first one is how she gets to be who she is. The sequel is based on what happens in here in the first one and how events. Yeah, because you probably haven't got to the bit yet, but the red one has got a daughter who's a little bit of a minx in this one. and her ex-husband. So yeah, it'll all.
Kind of funny how these squirrels have it's good that they're showing like very difficult human situations,
Yeah,
but they're doing it in I don't want to say a lighthearted way, but
I'm trying to point out discriminationary issues in it.
yeah,
When these young adults are reading it, they can realize, oh my God, in the first book, I've got, why are you bullying them? Because I can. And then someone could probably read that and look at it and think, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm doing to them.
yeah,
Or what done to me. And there's some little issues in here about stuff. I'm trying to cover, I just tried to put little discriminatory things to overcome discrimination in there.
yeah.
But shoving it in their face, making it a bit more subtle that someone might, as they're reading it, might realize, oh my God, I do that to people. I really shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. That's especially if you're writing YA, I think that's definitely something we need more of, because they're just, I mean, the LGBTQ community and the BIPOC community, we're having more exposure, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like almost a little overkill right now.
Yeah, it's right in your face, but I wanted to try and do it a bit more subtly, but also to make it that people are aware,
Yeah,
making people aware of differences and that people are not so different.
And that even like if you're gay, you still have the same problems that straight people have, like some people.
The only thing different is what you do in the bedroom.
Right, like
the only thing. Seriously, that's the only thing that's different in life.
It is, but a lot of people, when they write gay stories, it's like all about it being gay. It's like them coming out, them struggling with it, which needs to be told as well, but I feel like this kind of opens it up and shows like it doesn't even talk really about, there's a little bit about her being like keeping it to herself that she was interested in a female squirrel. But it's totally normal, in this book, and the problems they have are anybody could have these problems. So I think that's important to have.
I was just going to mention, I don't have any interest in writing anything about homophobia. Like my worlds, this could change, but they're generally homophobia free. Not, it's clearly a really important topic, and I'm not, my suggestion isn't like there's no homophobia, problem solved, but it's just not of particular interest to me necessarily. It's just not that thing I want to push at.
Yeah.
Because we have other problems, guys, like Vivian said.
Yeah, we actually do.
Yeah, life stuff.
The only reason I have a little bit of stuff is because mine takes place it's a historical fiction, so it took place in 1924, but the story itself is not about the gayness, but I do have to have a little bit of, she couldn't just come out, everybody, because that just wasn't a thing you did. So
exactly.
But yeah, I've grown up with the discrimination. I've been, made to feel bad for being queer, and maybe we've had enough, and we don't want to write about that shit anymore because we're kind of done. Maybe it'll be in vogue, in a few years from now, who knows?
21st century, isn't it? They should be over it by now.
Yeah, I've been saying that for 30 years, 25 years now. Like, really? Like,
yeah, you still have
you care? You have a problem with this? Like, why? Yeah, but it is getting better. So obviously the trans community has some challenges. They're like the target right now, which is unfortunate. But I do believe that, one day being gay, being trans, anything will just be like hair color, you know? I do think we'll get there.
We've got a foster child in the family, and at my wedding, there was my cousin's girlfriend's daughter now wants to be called Simon. So I have no problem calling him Simon. But she went up, she said, "Who's that over there?" And I said, "Oh, that's Simon." No batting of eyelids or anything. They just got together and they spent the whole day and the whole evening just sat in a corner talking and sharing, and it was brilliant, absolutely amazing. I think that's one of the first times that Simon has not had any judgmental stuff thrown at him. And the two of them got on great, and it was lovely to see.
How old are
they? They're like 13, 14.
I love that. They're just being...
Now that he's coming and there's no judgment whatsoever.
Oh, I love that so much.
I think it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So hopefully generation will grow up without the bigotry and stuff that we had.
But I always say it's important to know that what we went through, because it goes in cycles and it could always come back. Like any kind of racism, sexism, any kind of ism, it can always return if you're not vigilant, if you don't educate the populace. So I do feel like it's not like we're trying to say it's not important. It's just it's not what we're saying right now in this book that we wrote, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so excellent. I love that. I love that it's a YA, that it's fun, that it's got animals in it. It can be a freaking cartoon, you know.
Yeah.
You can do anything with this. It's so vast, the world that you're building, and it's saying something important. And and
I'm enjoying it. That's one of the main things, isn't it? I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's healing for you. Actually, I did want to ask that question. We kind of went over it already. I thought it was very interesting that you're a healer and a therapist, and you write this, you know, this beautiful, fun, lighthearted story. And I was curious to know if it was because you wanted an escape from all, not only the shit that you hear and deal with, but the world, the news, you know?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And it's been healing for you.
That's why I read fantasy. I don't read autobiographies. I only read fantasy stuff. I want to live, when I'm relaxing, it's nice to read, and I like my reading to be in like a make-believe place. I deal with enough hassle and people's dilemmas and aggro and trauma and PTSD, that when I leave that, I want to leave it right behind. And I've grown up as a constant joker. I like mucking about. I like having a laugh at stuff. I will take the mickey out of everything, including myself. I never take myself seriously. As I said, I grew up reading people that wrote tongue-in-cheek, very, very tongue-in-cheek for adults. And I love that sort of stuff. So that's what I wanted to do. Something like that, but in my own way.
And about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing stuff that's sort of too deep. I do that in blooming, you know, I spent years studying psychology and people's brains. I don't want to be thinking about that outside of it. I just want to have I have a sick sense of humor. I have a weird ideas about some things, and I just think that I'll put that down on paper, and if it makes me laugh, hopefully it'll make other people laugh as well.
You know, because it's the best medicine, right?
Yeah, life's too serious to be so miserable all the time.
Absolutely.
That I had to create something to make me happy.
That's what I thought. I thought it was kind of like you just telling everyone via this story, like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's cathartic, isn't it? It's really, yeah. And and trying to put the positivity that I found in life.
Yeah.
You get back what you give out. So you give out positive stuff, you're going to get it back.
Like try to laugh at everything. Like try to find the humor in everything, and just and
because you will get it back. You give out negative stuff and you'll get it back. I tried it and I know that it works.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I had the negative side for so long until I realized, and then once I started doing it the other way,
That's really amazing. I'm really happy for you.
it's totally changed. Yeah, the
I'm-
last 3 years, my life is totally different from what it's been for 5 decades.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And it's amazing what you guys said to your moms.
Yeah,
They came around a little bit.
yeah. Both at the party, they both had a great time together. You know, and they were both walking around us, our daughters over there. You know, you'd have thought it was their party.
That's awesome.
And we even got married when it was COVID. We were allowed to have the party. Everything worked out that we could have whatever we wanted. We put it out there. It was going to be fine. It wasn't going to be shut down. We had got married. We got given the pub to use. We had our friends, rather than buying us presents, someone paid for the cake, someone paid for the champagne, someone did our photography, someone was our chauffeur. So we got married on a budget. It was brilliant.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
thank you. So that's what I said, starting off this year with a totally fresh mindset, and everything was going to be positive, and then I got COVID.
Well, you're still smiling though.
There's got to be something positive to come out of it. There's got to be.
Oh, it could be worse. You
Yeah.
know, like you're sitting
I
there
could be on
talking.
I could be in hospital, couldn't I?
Exactly.
So
Oh,
instead,
excellent.
talking to 2 lovely people from America.
Thank you.
Aw, come on, Natalie, that's sweet.
It makes me blush.
Right?